Imagine you are exactly 12 minutes away from the World Cup final. You have the lead. You are just, dominating the pitch, and the momentum is entirely on your side.
Right, it's the absolute dream scenario. You can practically taste it.
You really can. But then your manager makes one single substitution that doesn't just alter your tactical formation. It literally rewires your entire team's brains for defeat.
Which is just wild to watch unfold in real time.
It really is. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking the fascinating and frankly kind of terrifying psychology of defending a lead. We're going to look at why that deeply ingrained human instinct to play not to lose,
Yeah.
almost always guarantees that you will in fact lose.
Yeah, it is the ultimate psychological trap. I mean, we assume that because we have a mathematical advantage on the scoreboard, human logic will just naturally carry us to victory.
Right, like we've already done the hard part.
Exactly. But the human brain does not treat success logically. When we get a taste of winning, this massive cognitive bias takes over, and we basically end up programming our own downfall.
And to figure out why, today we are drawing heavily on a really brilliant excerpt from a piece called The Fear of Winning: Why Teams Stop Playing to Win.
Yeah, that's written by Lucky, who is a former professional player and captain. Now he coaches and runs learnwithlucky.org, which is this great platform focused on building complete athletes and, using AI in sports development.
And to really ground the psychological phenomenon, we are using the ultimate case study today, the absolute heartbreak that just unfolded this past Wednesday night during the 2026 World Cup semifinal between England and Argentina.
Oh, man. That match is going to be studied in sports psychology classes for decades.
Definitely.
Because it just perfectly illustrates the exact collapse we are talking about today.
So let's set the scene for you real quick. England is up 1-0. They are playing this fluid, just brilliant football. There are literally 12 minutes left on the clock standing between them and the World Cup final.
Just 12 minutes.
12 minutes. And then manager Thomas Tuchel makes a move. He subs off their most dangerous attacker, Anthony Gordon, and he brings on 3 defenders.
Right. Ezri Konsa, Dan Burn, and Nico O'Reilly, all at once.
Which sends this immediate, almost subconscious signal to everyone in the stadium. Okay, let's unpack this. I read the stats that followed the substitution in the source material, and I genuinely had to read them twice.
I don't blame you. They are unbelievable.
Because my brain just couldn't process the drop-off. So from the 66th minute to the 84th minute, an 18-minute stretch of international football England completed exactly 3 passes.
3 passes in almost 20 minutes.
Yeah, and 2 of those were from the goalkeeper. The other one was from a center back. They had, I think it was 12% possession.
Yep, 12%.
And 0 touches in Argentina's penalty box. 0. The Opta stats officially categorized that period of the match as a siege because Argentina held 88% possession and had 15 touches inside England's box.
And, well, when you invite a siege, the walls eventually crumble. They always do.
Always. Enzo Fernandez scores the equalizer in the 85th minute, and then Lautaro Martinez scores the winner in stoppage time. And just like that, England is sent packing.
But here's the really crucial piece to understand about that fallout. Emiliano Martinez, the Argentine goalkeeper, was incredibly blunt after the match.
Oh, he did not hold back.
Not at all. He didn't just celebrate the win. He openly mocked England's approach. He pointed out that when you are winning, you have to keep going forward. He literally laughed at them for sending on extra defenders instead of, hunting for a second goal to just kill the game.
Right, and Emiliano Martinez laughing isn't just standard post-game trash talk. It reveals something kind of horrifying about the mentality on that pitch. He could physically see a change in England's players.
He smelled the fear.
Exactly. But, I do have to push back here for a second because on paper, if you are up 1-0 with 12 minutes left, isn't going defensive just like smart math?
It seems like it, sure.
Right. You have the asset. Why risk giving it up by sending players forward? I think of it like playing a video game where you are dominating by being aggressive, but the moment you switch to turtle mode to protect your base, you just invite the enemy to overwhelm you. So is this just a bad tactical move, or is there a literal psychological virus spreading on the pitch?
Well, that is the exact logical trap Tuchel fell into.
Yeah.
And to understand why it fails, we have to look at what happens neurologically. When a manager makes a purely defensive move like that, it is not just a tactical shift. It is a mass communication of fear.
A communication of fear. Wow.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney actually noted this in the source material regarding Wednesday's game. He pointed out that when attacking players see defensive substitutions, their internal narrative just completely shatters.
So they see a defender coming on and think, what, we're in trouble?
They think, oh, we're going to sit back and suffer now. The brain stops processing the game as an opportunity to create and starts processing it as a threat to survive.
So they are basically abandoning the very strategy that got them the lead in the first place.
Precisely. Lucky's piece dives into two foundational psychological concepts that govern this. They're called promotion focus and prevention focus.
Okay, promotion and prevention.
Right. So when you have a promotion focus, your brain is oriented toward achieving something. You are playing to win.
You're proactive.
Exactly. Your decision-making is proactive. You are scanning the field for open space. You're anticipating passes, dictating the rhythm. But the second you switch to a prevention focus, your brain's primary goal becomes avoiding a loss.
So what does that actually look like inside the brain? Because it sounds like you were saying this is a biological reaction, not just, players having a bad attitude.
Oh, it is entirely biological. When you switch to a prevention focus, your brain perceives a threat to something valuable you now possess, in this case, the lead.
Right.
That triggers a stress response, flooding your system with cortisol.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is this physiological shift actually narrows your peripheral vision.
Wait, literally narrows your vision.
Literally. Your muscles tense up. You stop seeing creative passing lanes or attacking opportunities because your brain is in full survival mode. It's fixated purely on the immediate danger right in front of you. You stop playing the game and just watch it happen to you.
That makes me think of carrying a glass of water. If you're just walking from the kitchen to the living room, you don't even think about it. Your gait is smooth.
Right. Totally natural.
But imagine someone suddenly tells you that specific glass of water is worth $1 million, and if you spill a single drop, you lose it all. Suddenly, because you have something incredibly precious to lose, your grip tightens, your shoulders tense up.
Your muscles get rigid.
Yes. And ironically, because you're trying so hard not to spill it, you start shaking and end up spilling it anyway.
That is a perfect encapsulation of loss aversion. Human beings experience the pain of losing something much more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value.
Which is wild.
It is. When the score is 0-0, you have nothing to lose, so your muscles are relaxed. You hunt. But the moment you are up 1-0, you possess something valuable. The survival instinct just overrides the logical knowledge that the best way to protect the lead is to maintain the pressure.
But surely prevention focus has some utility, right? Like, parking the bus has to be a legitimate strategy in some scenarios. I mean, you wouldn't throw all 10 outfield players forward in the 90th minute.
Right, of course not. The research highlights a very specific window for this. The data shows that a prevention-focused parking the bus only statistically works for protecting a small lead in the final 5 minutes of a match.
Only the last 5 minutes.
Just the last 5. If you try to apply that reactive mindset when there are 30 or more minutes left on the clock, it drastically increases the likelihood that you will concede a goal.
Because giving up 30 minutes of territory to a world-class team is just asking them to find their rhythm. It's like you're handing them the keys to the game and just hoping they don't know how to drive.
Yeah, you are entirely letting them dictate the terms of engagement. And what makes this so dangerous is the neurobiological lock-in. A defensive mentality is not a light switch.
You can't just turn it off and on.
No, you cannot flick it on for 30 minutes to absorb pressure and then simply flick it back off the second the other team ties the game.
Oh, that explains so much about what happens after an equalizer. You always see the team that gave up the lead looking completely paralyzed, like their boots are made of lead.
Because they are stuck in that cortisol-flooded state.
Yeah.
Once you spend 30 minutes marinating in a panic of don't concede, those neural pathways of reactivity and fear become so deeply reinforced.
Wow.
Yeah, when the game is suddenly tied again, the brain cannot physically snap back to a ghost score mentality. They literally cannot access the aggressive, creative mindset they started the game with.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. There is an incredible anecdote from the source material that highlights how early this gets ingrained in us. Lucky talks about a youth coach from the Learn with Lucky program.
Oh, I love this part.
Yeah, so this coach shared a story from his own playing days, explaining that his youth team had this awful, predictable habit. The moment they went up 1-0 or 2-0, his coach would immediately substitute a striker for a defender.
Sending that exact same signal Tuchel sent.
Exactly. And the player noted that you could tangibly feel the physical shift on the pitch. The entire team's energy morphed from trying to score to just bracing for impact. If having a 1-0 lead is mathematically a clear advantage, human nature just suddenly treats it like a fragile glass object we're terrified of dropping.
It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of defeat. The fear of losing becomes the mechanism of losing.
And the craziest part is how systemic this is. This isn't just a Thomas Tuchel problem from Wednesday night. The text points out a staggering historical pattern for England that proves how deeply ingrained this cognitive bias is. Let's rewind the tape to the ghosts of World Cups past, starting with the 1998 World Cup against Argentina.
Right, a match that perfectly mirrors the psychological breakdown we are discussing today.
You have an 18-year-old Michael Owen who scores an absolute wonder goal. I mean, he tears through the defense and puts England up 2-1 after they had initially been down 1-0.
So they have the momentum.
Massive surge of momentum. They have the psychological upper hand. And what do they do with it? They sit back. They try to protect the million-dollar glass of water.
They abandon the promotion focus that earned them the lead. And the timeline here is critical. They sat back, and within 30 minutes, Javier Zanetti scored an equalizer on a set piece right before halftime.
And the momentum just violently swings in the other direction. In the second half, David Beckham gets sent off. England is holding on for dear life, and eventually they lose on penalty kicks.
The prevention focus essentially invited the exact pressure that ultimately broke them, which, would be a tragic isolated lesson, except we see the exact same script play out 4 years later on the global stage.
2002 World Cup. Quarterfinal against Brazil in Shizuoka, Japan. Michael Owen strikes again, scoring a blistering goal in the 23rd minute to put England up 1-0 against, honestly, the most intimidating team on the planet at the time.
Oh, that Brazil squad was terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And once again, they sit back, they invite the pressure. Just 22 minutes later, Rivaldo equalizes.
And early in the second half, Ronaldinho scores that famous looping free kick to make it 2-1 for Brazil.
But here is the part of that 2002 story from the source text that absolutely blew my mind. In the 58th minute, Ronaldinho gets a red card.
Giving England a massive numerical advantage.
For 32 minutes, England is playing against 10 men, needing just one goal to tie the game and keep their World Cup dreams alive, and they completely fail to score.
Barely even a shot on target.
They barely even mount a threatening attack. How is that possible? We are talking about professional athletes at the absolute pinnacle of their sport. How do they not just snap out of it when they have a man advantage for over half an hour?
It comes back to that neurobiological lock-in we discussed earlier. They had spent the bulk of that match trapped in a reactive defensive posture. Their brains were entirely wired for survival, not creation.
Wow, so they couldn't just turn it off.
Exactly. When Brazil went down to 10 men, England needed fluid, aggressive, risk-taking football to break them down. But they couldn't flip the switch. The neural pathways required for a promotion focus were completely suppressed by the stress hormones of their earlier prevention focus.
When you lay out the timeline across these tournaments, it is genuinely haunting. In 1998, they took the lead, sat back, and it took 30 minutes for the collapse. In 2002, they took the lead, sat back, and it took 22 minutes to collapse. Now, in 2026, they take the lead, sit back, and it takes exactly 30 minutes to collapse.
28 years of history repeating itself.
Just what does this all mean? 28 years. Different managers, entirely different generations of players, completely different tactical eras of football, and yet the exact same psychological trap yields the exact same devastating result.
Because it demonstrates that a prevention focus completely overrides talent. It overrides modern tactics. It guarantees failure when you are up against elite opposition because you are essentially choosing to fight with one hand tied behind your back.
So if history keeps repeating itself like a broken record over 28 years, how do actual champions break this cycle? What do the winners do differently when they get that 1-0 lead?
Well, the champion's mindset requires a conscious, deliberate rebellion against human instinct.
A rebellion against instinct. I like that.
Right, because the alternative to sitting back isn't about being naive. It doesn't mean you recklessly throw all your defenders forward and leave your goal exposed.
Yeah, you don't just abandon defense entirely.
No, the solution is much simpler, yet much harder to execute psychologically. The alternative is continuing to do exactly what earned you the lead in the first place. You do not build defensive walls around a 1-0 lead. You build on it.
You build on it. That is such a great framing. You don't treat the lead as something to hide in a vault. You treat it as a foundation to build a taller tower.
Exactly. Look at that 2002 Brazil team. When they went ahead against England, they didn't suddenly pack 10 men behind the ball, even after going down to 10 men.
That's a great point.
Ronaldinho was still attempting stepovers in England's half of the pitch before he was sent off. They maintained their promotion focus. They kept playing the game entirely on their terms.
And we saw that exact same champions mindset from Argentina on Wednesday night. When Enzo Fernandez equalized in the 85th minute, Argentina did not retreat. They didn't say, okay, we survived. Let's just hold the ball for 15 minutes and take our chances in penalty kicks.
Not even for a second. They kept pushing.
Lionel Messi aggressively hunted for the winner deep into stoppage time. You could see it in their body language. They smelled blood in the water. They recognized that England was paralyzed by their own fear, and Argentina used their promotion focus to completely crush them before the final whistle even blew.
And that brings us to the core philosophy that the Learn with Lucky coach emphasizes in the source material. He states, when you're scared to lose, you've already lost.
That's a powerful quote.
It is the most fundamental question for any team entering a high-stakes scenario. Are you playing not to lose, or are you actively playing to win?
And this brings the entire deep dive right into your lap for everyone listening to this right now, because this phenomenon is not confined to a soccer pitch. Think about your own life. Whether you're leading a massive project at work, running a business, or just playing a weekend sport. Have you ever been leading a high-stakes project and the moment it starts getting recognition, you stop taking the creative risks that made it special?
Oh, that happens all the time. Or think of a small business owner who just had their first highly profitable quarter. Suddenly, instead of investing in the aggressive growth strategies that got them there, they freeze. They start hoarding cash and playing it safe to protect the margins.
Yes. Think about the last time you achieved a major milestone, maybe paying off a big debt or landing a huge client. Did you feel empowered to go after the next big thing, or did you suddenly feel terrified of losing what you just gained?
It's that glass of water again.
Right. If you abandon your identity the moment you find success, you are slipping into turtle mode. You are tightening your grip on that glass of water. You are England in the 2026 semifinal.
And by playing not to lose, you inevitably invite the exact pressure and defeat you are so desperately trying to avoid. Your success becomes incredibly fragile because it is no longer sustained by the proactive energy that created it.
It is a tragedy of our own making, completely dictated by a biological misunderstanding of risk. So as we wrap up today's exploration of this mental trap, all eyes in the sporting world are turning toward this Sunday, the 2026 World Cup final.
It is going to be Argentina versus Spain. Should be incredible.
It's going to be massive. And when you sit down to watch that match, pay close attention to the psychology on the field. Remember that Argentina is in that final specifically because they chose to hunt.
They played to win.
Exactly. When the game was on the line, they pushed forward and maintained their promotion focus, while England is watching from home for the 28th year in a row because they chose to defend.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating challenge to apply to our own routines. We have seen clearly today that this prevention focus naturally, almost involuntarily, kicks in the moment we feel we have something precious to lose. It is baked into our neurobiology.
Right. It's just human nature.
So, what psychological tricks or daily habits could you implement in your own life to actively trick your brain into staying in a promotion focus? How do you keep yourself hunting when every survival instinct in your body is screaming at you to hide and protect your lead?
How do you keep hunting? That is the perfect question to leave you with today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take this lesson with you the next time you find yourself with an advantage in your career, your relationships, or your personal goals. Remember, do not build walls around your success. Build on it. Until next time, keep playing to win. Catch you later.